All right, guys, so I want to touch on one of the most important parts of the body that is often the most neglected. That's the shoulders. So many people have dysfunctions in their shoulders, can't even move their hands above their head or their arms above their head without pain or discomfort due to inflammation or bursitis. So in this video, I'm going to address some mobility and soft tissue work that you can do to clean up the shoulders, to clean up the rotator cuff. But before I do, I just want to address that this video would be super important for people who have some type of pathology in their shoulders, like a bursitis, or whether you're operating in a throwing sport like baseball, softball, cricket. Super important for you guys. Or if you just want to improve your shoulder health and be able to lift your kid around in a couple of years' time when you have one, or if you have one, because so many people can't even lift their kid up and throw their kid around because they can't lift their arms above their head without pain and discomfort. And this is often due to, because we focus so much on the anterior chain. A lot of people, bodybuilders especially, they focus on just building the front side of the body, the mirror muscles, and often neglecting the posterior chain. And obviously at Woodford's, we talk a lot about the glutes, the hamstrings, lower down, below the hips. But often we don't actually talk about the rotator cuff muscles. So we have 4 rotator cuffs, from smallest to largest: teres minor, infraspinatus, supraspinatus, subscapularis. So these muscles are super important in stabilizing the shoulder. And what happens is that when we do so many, when we focus on our upper body so much, and we get really strong through our upper body, pecs, deltoids, biceps, triceps, we focus on building all these muscles and we neglect the posterior side, then one, we can become quite internally rotated. And then if you do it consistently year after year after year, week after week after week, trying to really focus on building a strong upper body, which is great, but if you neglect the posterior side, if you neglect the rotator cuff, what can happen is the shoulder can start to migrate up and you decrease the subacromial space. So basically what that means is that in that subacromial space between your shoulder and your acromion, that space decreases and then hits upon the bursa sac. And once you start hitting across that bursa sac, every time you lift your arm up is when you start to cause inflammation and is when you start to get pathologies and issues within your shoulders. And that can happen after years and years of work. You might not notice it acutely in the first couple of months or the first year or two of really focusing on building a strong upper body, but you may notice it after 5 or so, 10 or so years when you start to notice, wait a second, why does that hurt lifting that above? So that's the justification of why and how and what we're trying to do. So basically, by focusing on the rotator cuff muscles behind and not just doing sagittal plane stuff, because so much of the stuff we do is in the sagittal plane. So we want to focus on working on the coronal plane and the transverse plane. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of soft tissue works, a couple of myofascial releases, and some different mobility drills that I think are unique and are great that you can incorporate in your program to improve your overall shoulder health and strengthen and release your rotator cuff muscles. This is one of my new favorite mobility drills to do to improve the shoulder health and rotation through the shoulders. Shout out to Smashworks for this. Okay, so you're gonna grab a dowel, you're gonna put it behind you, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna torque on this arm right here, on this shoulder right here. Just slowly pushing down, right? Be careful with it. Don't take it too far. Just take it as far as feels comfortable. You're gonna feel a stretch through your anterior side of your shoulder, just really deep in that shoulder socket. And you're just gonna torque on it slowly back and forth. You can also hold. This one's great for the subscap and it'll really help free up the shoulder after you've done some soft tissue work through it. So just roll through that, floss that shoulder joint, free that joint up, and do that every day, especially if you wanna get into that front rack position better. A lot of people struggle getting to a front rack position. If you want to do better Olympic lifting, or you just want to be able to front squat with more proficiency. So that's one of my favorite ones right there. Highly recommend, try that out. All right, now we're going to work on some soft tissue work first to free up that posterior capsule, which is where 3 of the 4 rotator cuff muscles actually insert onto the greater tubercle right there in there, right? So basically we want to work on freeing up this posterior side of the shoulder where they insert onto. So you're going to grab a ball and you're going to rest it into that posterior capsule, and you're just going to find a spot, find a knot, and just crank back and forth on that. Or you can just lay into it there, but I always like adding movement to my soft tissue work and myofascial releases. So I'm not just sitting statically in a pose, I'm actually moving through the tissue as it's actively moving through flexion, extension, and other joint actions like that. So just stay here, 2 minutes, both sides, and you can also do as well, actually let me make sure I'm recording, good, I am. What you can also do is that you can actually grab the double. These are great, highly recommend. Buy one, invest in one. What you can do is now grab a double and you can then lay it in the middle of your spine at about C5, C6, C7. Lay into that and don't just sit here statically. I tell all my clients this, all my athletes this. Lay your head back and move in a circumduct your arms around in a circle. So just rotate, move them back and forth so you can actually take those muscles through a different range of motion while they're under this load, while they're under kind of a release. So kind of mimicking what a therapist might do, or a physical therapist, or rather a myotherapist would do, is they would manipulate the muscle as they take it through different joint actions, which I'm a huge fan of. So doing that and just finding different knots in there. So use the peanut, peanut, and use the lacrosse ball and just crank through that posterior side of the shoulder. So now that we've freed up the tissue, now that we've mobilized, now we're gonna focus on strengthening it. So this is something you can do in between, as fillers in between your movements. Any upper, lower days, full body days, doesn't matter. Just focusing on strengthening those rotator cuff muscles. So you're gonna grab a light band. This is light, it's pink. It's the lightest band we got, all right? But you're always gonna keep tension on the bands. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna suck your arms and elbows into your sides of your body like you've got balloons in between your arms. Then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna externally rotate your arms out and in, out and in. And this will just really fire up those rotator cuff muscles, the posterior side of the shoulder, and just do 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 15, 3 sets of 20. Keep going up as you get stronger through there. And you'll notice it'll also help you improve your external rotation in your shoulder as well, not just with strength, but with mobility. Here's another killer banded strength / mobility movement for the shoulder. What you're gonna do is you're gonna start with your shoulder in your scapula in a protracted state, and then you're gonna pull this elbow back, pulling that scapula back into retraction, then externally rotate and extend the arm back. And then you're just gonna reverse the movement. So retract, externally rotate, reach out diagonally, and then reach back. Keep the band at about hip height. Man, it's a great one for strengthening that shoulder. And once again, so many great things you can do with the band. And I'm gonna keep showing you guys different ones as we move through the video. Now here's a great one I got from Joe DeFranco, the king himself, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab the thin band is gonna be attached to the slightly thicker band. So now we got a red onto a pink. All right, so now you can see me, you're gonna come back into a quarter squat position, you're gonna retract the scapula, externally rotate the shoulders, and then elevate up, and then reverse it. Down, internally rotate, protract. Boom, 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 boom. Now, most people may not even be able to get to that position. I know many people can't even get here. Just get to where you can get to. If you can only get there, get there. If it's too much, go further in. Use a lighter band. Hell, just do body weight. Actually, speaking of that, here's a great one you can do just to retrain your nervous system to internally and externally rotate the shoulders in a proper with its proper biomechanics of how a shoulder should function, okay? Get into a scarecrow position, just like this, internally, externally rotate. Now again, you may not be able to get here. That's fine. Get here, get here. Like, get to where you can get to, because another thing we can do is we go against the wall and we go up and down. So if I had a wall behind me, I would be elevating and extending. But a lot of people I've noticed, and I've trained them myself, they can't get there. They can't get their hands against the wall. So, you know, what you can do here is get to the position you can get to and slow and controlled move through that, trying to keep the shoulders. See, I'm trying to keep my humerus level. Right? I'm not trying to dip down and dip back up. I'm trying to keep it level, move really slow and controlled. The nervous system needs slow movement to learn or to retrain motor patterns. It needs slow movement. That's why eccentrics and other things we do with resistance is super important. So right now, slow and controlled movements, and you'll feel that every time you internally, externally rotate, you'll feel, oh, those rotator cuff muscles working, you'll feel those back muscles engaging, recruiting, and just slowly. And look, I'm already feeling, I've done like 4 or 5 of these and I'm already feeling fatigue. That's a great warm-up you can do for your for upper body program. And that's it, 10 minutes of just everything you need to clean up your shoulders, improve your shoulder health, reduce any type of pathology or dysfunctions you have in your shoulders, and get yourself moving how a human body should move. Done. If you liked it, comment below. If you want more of these videos, you can like my page, Strength of Saad. It's all below. Thank you. Love you. Mwah!